Each of the 4 operators on the quad operator can generate not just sine waves, but triangle, square, and sawtooth waves as well. We can scan through these shapes by turning the shape knob for that operator. Here, we will be turning the shape knob for operator 1 while its output, op1, is patched out for us to hear. Let's move between the wave shapes, observing the differences with our ears and our eyes as we look at the oscilloscope and spectrum analyzer. If you're not sure what you're seeing on the oscilloscope or spectrum analyzer, please review video 2, a look at a sine wave on the scope. As we turn the shape knob, a sine becomes a triangle, then becomes a square, then a sawtooth, as shown in the oscilloscope. We see that the distance between the peaks of the waveform doesn't change. Recall that the oscilloscope is drawing in time, and this distance is called the period of the waveform, which corresponds to what we call the wave's fundamental frequency, the lowest frequency being produced by the oscillator. As we're listening to the different shapes, we have a sense that the pitch or note of the wave is not changing. But there is something about the sound that is changing that we can hear clearly. Yes, we can see the difference in the drawing made on the oscilloscope, but to understand what's really going on, the spectrum analyzer tells a better story. Starting again with a sine wave, we slowly change the shape to a triangle, then a square, and a sawtooth again. In addition to our original sine wave vibrating at the fundamental frequency that we see initially, we begin to see a whole series of additional peaks as we move to the right. These represents additional sine waves vibrating at frequencies higher than that of our original sine wave. These are generally referred to as overtones, partials, or harmonics. Overtones play a major role in giving different instruments or synthesizer patches their character or timbre, as it is often called. This is a fundamental concept of synthesis, drawing complex sound waves in such a way that we produce wave shapes with different and evolving overtones. Before we get into our first example of frequency modulation, we'll be talking briefly about a more common synthesis technique in our next video, a quick look at subtractive synthesis.